The Lamanites had taken several of the nearby cities, which were close to the Lamanites' land. The Lamanites treated the people who lived in these cities as slaves. They were cruel to the Neophyte prisoners. A man named Aptus was the commander of the Neophyte army in this area. He had lost many soldiers in previous battles, so he was very happy to see Helam's 2,000 soldiers. The Lamanites' army had taken enough territory in this area that they were able to use the captured cities to strengthen its forces. After all, the cities had enough food and slaves to take care of lots and lots of Lamanites. In this way, the Lamanite army grew stronger and stronger. Antipater knew that he had to get these cities back at any cost. He and his soldiers decided to fight until they captured the last territory. Even though many Neophytes would die in the battles, they were willing to die for necessary because they believed that freedom was worth dying for. The Lamanites were protected by the walls and forts which Moroni's soldiers had built. Antipater knew it would be difficult. It would be to attack the Lamanites while they were inside the Neophyte stronghold. Antipater decided to trick the Lamanites into leaving their cities. He ordered Helam's forces, also a Neophyte city nearby. They were to appear as if they were carrying supplies to the people in the city. On their journey, they would pass the city which held the largest part of the Lamanite army. The 2,000 young soldiers obediently marched right past the Lamanite army. Lamanite spies immediately discovered them, and the Lamanites marched very fast to capture the Neophyte soldiers and supplies. Helamn warriors saw the approaching Lamanites. They turned and marched even more quickly from the city into the wilderness. The Lamanites followed both armies, traveled as quickly as possible until they were far into the woods. The young fighters had tracked the Lamanite army without even fighting. They had led the strongest of the Lamanite force from its stronghold. Antipater and his men marched into the city. Killed the remaining Lamanite guards. The city was once again Neophyte territory. Antipater knew he needed to help Helam's stripling warriors. The Lamanite army so chased them and would kill them if they caught them. Antipater and his men left a few soldiers to guard the city and went into the woods. The Lamanite commander saw that the Neophyte army was chasing him. He ordered his men to run even faster towards Helam's forces. He knew that if he did not catch them and kill them quickly, his soldiers would be surrounded by Neophytes. He wanted to get rid of the young soldiers before he had to fight the rest of the Neophyte forces. He knew that he cannot win if he had to fight both groups of Neophytes at the same time. The Lamanites ran, and so did Helamn and his sons. Antipater and his men seized all of them. Helamn looked back and saw that the Lamanites were no longer chasing them. He did not know if the Lamanites were trying to trick him, or if they had stopped to fight Antipater's men. If he turned around, would he and his boys walk into a trap? He did not want his sons to get hurt. Helamn asked his boys what they thought he should do. The brave young men said, "Our mothers taught us that God would protect us when we obey. We have God's promise that we will not die in the battles. We want to turn around and fight the Lamanites." Helamn had never seen such bravery and faith. He knew many great men, but he had never met anyone as strong and faithful as these 2,000 young warriors. He turned his force around and marched toward the Lamanites. Helamn and his soldiers found the Lamanites. They realized that they had arrived just in time. Antipater and his men were so tired from the journey that they hardly had the strength to fight. The Lamanites fighting hard and killed many of these brave soldiers. Helam's forces joined the battle. The Lamanites' army was surrounded. Helam's boys behind them and Antipater's men in front of them. The battle grew fierce. The Lamanites' commander saw that many of his soldiers had been killed. He knew that if he kept fighting, he and the rest of his men would die. He decided to surrender instead. The Lamanites' soldiers put down their weapons. The Neophytes took the weapons, then took the Lamanites prisoners of war. After the battle was over, Helamn anxiously counted his sons. To his great astonishment and relief, not a single boy had been killed. Most of them had been injured, but not one had died. This was only the first of many battles for Helam's stripling warriors. They fought bravely because they knew that God was watching over them. Heavenly Father kept his promise. Not one of them died during the war.